Before you get one of these airline credit cards, let me walk you through something that I wish someone had told me years ago so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Most people think that choosing an airline card is just about picking your favorite airline, right? It's actually not. That's actually how you get locked into the wrong credit card system, earning the wrong points, and missing out on way more value than you think. So, in this video, we're talking about what the value proposition of these cards actually is, the perks that I genuinely do like about some airline credit cards, the hidden limits that most beginners never heard about, who these cards are right for, and then I'll also discuss with you a couple of alternative credit card strategies that can give you way more flexibility. All right, let's get into it. When you're new to points, these airline credit cards almost start to feel like a starter pack because they are simple. You do fly that airline often, so why not get its credit card, right? And honestly, based on where you live, you will naturally fly some airlines more than others. So it does start to feel like, are you leaving that value on the table by not signing up for their credit card? And then the benefits on paper do make them sound like a no-brainer. So you get a good chunk of miles as sign-up bonus. Then for the mid-tier cards that cost you around $100 in annual fees, you also get a checked back. So if you do travel a couple of times in a year, you can make back the annual fees. You also get priority boarding, which technically sounds fancy, but in reality, you are actually boarding after half the plane's elite groups. These cards will also give you a path to elite status, which is great, but let's be real, it's really hard to hit those spend amounts and even fly those many miles in a year. So let's ignore that for a second. And then if you have premium versions of these cards, you also get exclusive lounge access to that airline's lounges, which you typically do not get with your Amex Platinums and your Chase Sapphire Reserves. So there are some nice perks sprinkled in. Now, there are a couple of things about some of these credit cards that I genuinely like even today. Let's take Delta, for example. They have a program called Take Off 15. Essentially, what this means is that if you have the Delta Gold card or above, you get 15% off award flights that you book with Delta. It does not apply to partner flights. The flights must be Delta operated, but honestly, 15% off still feels legit. And that kind of puts you ahead of the curve of anyone who does not have those credit cards. Another example would be United Airlines. They have a similar program that gets you access to special card member pricing if you have their Explorer card or anything above it. It's not a guaranteed 15% off sort of a program that you get with Delta, but I think it's still pretty valuable if you are willing to just play around with the dates and be a little flexible because the discounts can go up to like 40% off. I actually recently spotted an amazing deal to Europe at only, I think, less than 100k miles in business class, which is actually unheard of for United. But do remember that their no fee card, the gateway card, will not get you this benefit right off the bat. However, there is a path to getting that benefit on the gateway card as well, as long as you spend $10,000 in a year on that card. But that's not always possible, so we can ignore that. Let's talk about some hidden limitations of these cards now. The first big limitation being locking yourself into that airline's universe. If you're earning Delta miles, you would want to fly Delta. If you're earning United, same thing. This is great for someone who just wants to fly that one airline all the time, but not everyone wants that. And then there is the devaluation problem. So every year, as you are aware, these airlines keep devaluing the miles, which means that it takes more and more number of miles for you to book the same award flights. To add to that, credit card fees keep rising. So not only are you paying more to keep the card, but your miles are worth less when you go to redeem them. In the case of Delta, we've seen that the award pricing keeps going way up, especially if you're trying to book premium cabins. But honestly, this is just the fact of the matter. These miles will devalue every single year. And the fact that you're locking yourself into just 1 mile system, I think it's kind of a risk. And as someone who's had almost every airline's credit card at some point and squeezed a lot of value out of them, I still would not go in blind today. So this is a lesson that I have learned over time. Before signing up for any airline credit card, I would literally make a free account with that airline and just start searching award prices. That one step alone can show you whether the miles that you would be earning will actually be helpful for your travel style and for your travel goals or not. Another issue that I have with airline credit cards is their earning structure. Because they focus on that one mileage program, they tend to be weak in other categories like everyday travel, dining, or groceries. so on and so forth. And that is why I think they cannot be that great of a daily driver for you. So I wouldn't use them day to day. And then, depending on the airline, your miles might actually expire if you close that credit card. So this is something to watch out for as well. Okay, but with all of that said, there are some scenarios when I think that these credit cards could actually make sense. Starting with the checked bag benefit. If you travel a couple of times in a year, and especially if you travel with friends or family, this benefit comes in super handy and it saves you a ton of money because one checked bag costs you, I think, $35 to $40 typically with an airline. So even if you travel as a couple, you are saving like $160 per round trip. So overall, you can make your annual fee back from this benefit alone. Another underrated benefit of some airline credit cards has got to be the companion certificate or the companion pass benefit. I'm sure you are aware of the Southwest companion pass. That one just blows it out of the park, but there's also companion passes available on Alaska Airlines and with Delta Airlines with some of their credit cards. So if you do travel with a companion 1 or 2 times in a year, you can definitely erase some of that annual fee cost. And finally, those discounts on award tickets. I think this benefit is just not talked about enough because that saves you a ton of points, especially if you have made a good chunk of sign up bonus. You can actually stretch those miles much more if you use this 15% off with Delta or if you take advantage of United's card member pricing. With an airline like United, all you've got to do is just be a little flexible with your dates and start to play around with the award calendar to see when the card member pricing pops up. That's honestly how I try to book most of my trips because we always want the best out of our miles, right? Now let's talk alternatives, and this is where my personal strategy lives. I almost always prefer to earn flexible points instead of being tied down to one airline's ecosystem, and that has worked out really well for me in the past. So for this, think cards like the Chase Sapphire cards, Amex Green Gold Platinum, or Capital One Venture X or Venture Rewards cards. Basically, all of these cards allow you to transfer your miles to multiple airlines, both domestic and international, and that's where the flexibility comes in, and you just get so much more optionality out of this. And then there are airline alliances that you can take advantage of. And if you don't know how airline alliances work, you can actually use one airline's miles to book its partner airlines or other alliance members. And that makes your life so much easier when you have flexible points because let's say you have Virgin Atlantic miles. That can help you book not only Virgin Airlines, but also Delta Airlines because they are their partners. So, there are those strategy options that are available to you. Another big win with these credit cards is their earning structure. So with flexible cards, you can rack up points so much faster. And that's because you can choose to get the card that actually matches where you spend your money. So whether it's dining, travel, or groceries, there are tons of credit cards available on the market that you can pick and choose depending on your own lifestyle. So not only do you earn more points with these credit cards, but you also get so many more options to spend your points. And that's why I think it's the perfect marriage and it's the perfect sweet spot for anybody who's looking to maximize their points. So here is my personal verdict. I have used airline credit cards a lot in the past and I've gotten some amazing value out of them, especially early on when they used to be a little more generous than they are today. But over the years, with devaluing miles and credit card fees rising, I just thought that it made sense for me to walk away from that setup and move into the flexible points currency setup, which has worked really well for me. The only airline credit cards that I've opened in the past 2 years were the United Explorer card, which I did a quick video on why I got this card and why it works for me. You can check it out here. And the other card that I got was the City AA card, which is the American Airlines card. And that was, by the way, not to book American Airlines. I got that card specifically to book partner airlines. Another airline card that I really like, I've had it in the past and I might be getting it again in the future as well, is the Alaska Atmos card. This is the combined card between Alaska and Hawaiian. They recently combined their loyalty program and are calling it Atmos now. But why this card is great is again because of partner redemptions with some amazing airlines like Korean Air, Japan Airlines, and also Starlux, which are, by the way, all on my bucket list. But thinking overall, I do prioritize spending my points on international trips more than domestic trips. And that's because I just find that gives me more value out of my points because these trips tend to be more expensive. So it just makes sense. And that is why earning those flexible currencies has been working out really well for me. At the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the math. So, what kind of annual fees are you okay paying? Are you getting enough benefit out of it? With the checked bag stuff, whether you travel more domestically or internationally, and those things just, that are very specific to your own lifestyle. So, I think it's at the end of the day a personal decision and depends on your lifestyle and your travel pattern. But for me, it's just completely a flexible card plan right now. And that's it for this one. I would love to know what kind of airline credit cards you have or are considering getting. So please let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.